They are going to find another way. Before you came abroad, they were eating. If you die, they will still eat at all. But it was like, okay, it's an extra year, it's fine as far as you graduate. And during the course of that extra year, she found out that he has not been in law school all this time. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ify and this is Ify's Beats. Here I talk to you about my experiences living in Canada as a Nigerian and recently as a Canadian citizen. If that's your sort of thing, please like, subscribe, share, comment, just engage in whatever form. On today's video, I am going to be talking about black tax. If you're an immigrant, you're most likely familiar with the term black tax. Is what we used to, it's not a bill, it's what we used to refer to the financial responsibility placed on immigrants and first generation earners to support family back home. And usually this is indefinitely. So one of the reasons I decided to talk about this topic is recently I was speaking to a friend and something heartbreaking happened to her. So she's been sending money home to sponsor a sibling, a boy, who she expected was in law school, and he has been reading law for 5 years, as we know. So he got an extra year last year, or what we thought was an extra year. And obviously that was not a nice thing at all, but it was like, okay, it's an extra year, it's fine as far as you graduate. And during the course of that extra year, a lot of drama ensued, and she found out that he has not been in law school all this time. In fact, he dropped out in probably like 200 level, and she has been in Canada for a while, so she has been the one sponsoring everything. Even when the amount seemed exorbitant, she would send it because the expectations were he would graduate, go to law school, and probably she would be able to sponsor his coming to, or his immigration to Canada. That was her hope. She was hoping that she would have someone to come and help her out in sorting out the family responsibilities. And one of the reasons why this was such a big deal for her is because there's a huge gap between her and her younger siblings, and seeing that she's the one carrying most of the financial responsibility at home, him being the next person to her, it was very important to her that this person finished school, then you come to Canada, so at least you can assist me in supporting the other ones. And that has been one of her biggest plans, only to find out the heartbreaking news that he has not even been in school and he has just been throwing away her money. In fact, even before the extra year, he threw a party for his graduation, bought a graduation gown, knowing fully well that he wasn't even going to be graduating, because when you're having extra year, you're already aware, maybe like 400, 500 levels. Sometimes you're aware from the year before your final year that, I'm not doing well, I'm most likely going to have an extra year. And he still was, I don't know, say wicked enough to collect money from his sister, who is working hard, taking extra shifts. She has a full-time job, and she also takes shifts as a care worker to support family back home. All this with a sick parent that she's also supporting. So it was a very heartbreaking story, and honestly that was what pushed me to want to talk about black tax, because I think that for most immigrants it's a common experience. There's only very few people who either have parents that are doing very well, and they are even the ones even sponsoring them in some cases, that do not have that burden of black tax. For most other people with average Nigerian parents, average to poor Nigerian parents, you are the one carrying the family. In fact, sometimes the whole reason you were sponsored to come abroad, everyone pulled money together, is so that you can go abroad, make money, and save the family. So I thought it was a very important conversation to have on this channel. And to be honest, I feel like some of my guests in the future, I think this is a topic we'll be revisiting, but I wanted to talk about it first from my own point of view. Before I go further, I want to first talk about what your reality is here, like living in Canada. I'm doing a lot of my comparison with Nigeria because that's where I grew up. First of all, here in Canada, rent is high. You're paying your rent monthly, which means every month your rent is taking a huge part of your income. It takes a lot for your rent to be really low, And if you already have bought a home, you have mortgage, you're also paying. Groceries are very expensive. Every day in Canada, everyone's complaining of groceries. And sometimes you're like, oh, maybe it's not that bad. But then you compare with some other developed countries and you see that, yeah, groceries are expensive in Canada. All these costs tend to add up. Even immigrating to Canada itself can be very expensive depending on the route you took. Come as a permanent resident, it's expensive. You come as a student, it's very expensive as well. Honestly, that's even one of the most expensive routes. And when you land in Canada, a lot of times people are starting with survival jobs. Many people are taking up a lot of shifts to be able to cover some of the costs, because some people borrowed money to immigrate. Some people sold all their properties, and because we have a weaker currency and the naira is weaker when compared to the Canadian dollar, so even all the things you sold to be able to help you immigrate, if you compare the naira value, it's not a lot. And you are desperate to get a job, many people start with survival jobs, except people that really come with a lot of money or come with a lot of experience and confidence to break into the corporate space. In the beginning, for a lot of people, you're already struggling, you are trying to survive, and from the beginning, depending on your family back home, you're already sending money home to people to also assist, because a lot of times you come in, you are converting your Canadian dollar to naira, and let's say you're doing a survival job, every 2 weeks you're earning $1,200. That's pretty low, but I'm just saying. And in naira, that's about almost 1.3 million naira. So it seems like a lot to you. And when people are calling you, telling you of one problem or the other, even though you are barely surviving yourself, because $1,200 in a lot of cities is not able to do a lot for you. It can barely cover rent depending on your accommodation situation. But you're converting the money and you're seeing how that money can be life-changing for your family members in Nigeria. So you're going to make a lot of room to try to be able to send something back home. Even $200 that will cover a lot of bills for you. You find yourself converting it and sending the money back home so that other people, your family is able to, live better. Another aspect of this black tax conversation, aside the earlier parts and, you surviving, is also the emotional and the mental aspect of it. There's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt surrounding it, especially when you newly come. Sometimes you're spending money and you are thinking about how, it ties back to what I just said. $1,200 is 1.3 million naira, and you're thinking about how that can make a lot of difference for your families, for the quality of life of your family members. And so you are guilty. Sometimes you buy a good quality winter boots that is going to cost over $150. Your brain is thinking, oh, this is 150,000 naira that could buy medication for someone or could do this or that for somebody. So you are sending money home for them to be able to survive. Sometimes you're also thinking, what, if I'm spending $50 to eat food, your brain is going, that means I shouldn't be sending someone $50 as monthly upkeep. But in the same breath, you're forgetting that $50 can also cover a small bill for you. Maybe you're renting an apartment, $50 can probably cover your renter's insurance. There's also the mental pressure. People are calling you, pressuring you. I've had a lot of people, even on social media, you go on social media, you see a lot of people talking about, they post a picture on their WhatsApp status and someone is messaging them to say, please give me something, please assist me. So there is a whole lot of emotions tied to this. There's also the emotion of shame. Sometimes your brain is thinking it's shameful to give someone this small amount. Meanwhile, it's not an amount that they worked for. You are ashamed to give someone free money. I've seen someone who said, my friend always says, I don't think it's right to send someone 20k. That's 20,000 naira, which is about maybe $19. And but the funny thing is that it is free money. You are just giving someone free money. They didn't work for it. They didn't put in any effort for it, except maybe it's your parents. And you are just dashing free money, but you are also feeling shame and guilt for dashing someone free money because you think that this amount is small. So there's a whole lot of emotional and mental pressure that's, even there's also anger. Sometimes, they call you, your day has barely started, because there's a huge time difference between like Nigeria and Canada, for example, and your day has barely started, but you're being hit with this bill that you have to take care of. And you are starting your day in a sour mood because someone has given you a bill. So there's a whole lot of emotions that surrounds black tax in general. Now, to the main part of the issue, which is how black tax affects us immigrants in the long term. Number one is your savings. Number two is buying a home. Number three is investing. Number four is starting a family. Number five is your mental health. And number six is your financial independence. First of all, savings. As in, every small cent counts towards your savings. Recently I was thinking about, making a purchase that is going to cost me, I don't know, like say $500. And it's not that I don't have $500 to make the purchase, but I kept on, pushing it off because I'm like, oh, I'll do it another time. Oh, I don't think I want to spend $500 for this now. And then recently I was asking myself, if I take the small $20 I'm using to eat out and put that aside, maybe by now that made a significant difference in saving for this $500 purchase that I want to make. Not that I don't have $500 to make this purchase, but since I'm refusing to prioritize it, why not just put small money aside, or even $50? There's sometimes I honestly order like 5 things in 1 week from Amazon, and sometimes I'm always placing orders, and my brain is not registering that these things I'm buying, even though they are small, $20 here, $30 here, they add up eventually. So why not just buy this big thing, and not buy some of those small things and prioritize this big thing? Anyway, my point is to say that every dollar counts when you are trying to save money. Sometimes when you settle down and look at your expenses for the month, you break it down, you see that, you've sent maybe $5,000 to $10,000 home that you could have used like in a year, or I'm not talking about in a month, but in a year you calculate it. Sometimes you see that you spend maybe depending on how generous you are, you can spend between $3,000 to $10,000 home. That's if there is no major project at home that you're sponsoring, just for family upkeep. I know some people that are very generous, that they are sending at least $300-400 a month. Some people are sending up to $1,000 a month just for upkeep. So you do that breakdown and you see that you've sent a huge chunk of your income home every year. My point is, all that money can go into savings. Not to say you shouldn't send money home, but I'm trying to tell you that there are alternate things that your money can also be doing for you. To say that some of these monies, they are not small, they actually add up in the long run. So savings aside, another thing that black tax affects is you buying a home. You see some people, they've spent a long time in Canada, they're unable to make a home purchase, not because they don't want to, because I do know that there are people that are not very keen on buying a home. They don't want to do home maintenance, they don't want to have to buying a home comes with property tax. If you stay in a condo, there's condo fees. What else? Maintaining the home, if anything spoils, roof, blah blah blah. There are so many things that come with buying a home, so a lot of hidden costs. So there are people who don't want to buy a home, but there are people who actually want to buy a home that have not been able to settle down to save a down payment, and they've been in Canada for such a long time. And sometimes they tell you, oh, it's not possible, it's not convenient, they're not able to save the money, their money is going to one thing or the other. But if you do a detailed breakdown of their spending, you find out that they've probably sent maybe over $20,000-30,000 home all the time they've been here in Canada. So you see that every cent counts. So if you're sending, say, $5,000 a year home, and this is you being not being a very generous person, $5,000 after 10 years is almost $50,000. I hope I'm doing the math right. So imagine $50,000 going towards a down payment for a home, maybe in a cheaper city, like say Edmonton. That is money that you are giving away. My point is not to say you shouldn't send money home, but I'm trying to say that it adds up. Another thing that this money is affecting is investments. You can start investing today. You don't have to be the best person at investing. Before you start investing, you don't have to be a professional investor. All you just have to do is, even if it's you want to use robo advisor apps like Wealth Simple, putting small money towards investing every day can honestly help you in the long run. Once again, that's $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 you're sending per year can go into that, and many people do not realize it. They're always underestimating how much they are sending home. They are not doing the calculation over the course of 12 months. Another big one is starting a family. Honestly, this one, I've seen it. I know a person who is trying to sponsor his brother to Canada. He's currently trying to save their school fees. And simply because of that, honestly, I don't know if to say simply because it's honestly a big deal. But because of that, his plan for getting married is in the next 3 years. He's not taking any person seriously now because his mind is, I need to save up these school fees for this person. And the reason he wants to save up the school fees is he doesn't trust his brother to come here and work and be able to sponsor his school fees himself. So his plan is, I need to save up the school fees so that I can bring this person here. And they're already starting to work on the admission. I think he has probably saved 20K now. He's killing himself, picking up shifts. It's a noble cause, but my point is this has already delayed his plans on settling down for another 2 years because he's thinking, I need to carry this responsibility. And God help him, nothing horrible happens in his family during this time. He might actually have to do other things with that money. Another thing that black tax affects is our mental health. I already mentioned this one. There's a lot of emotions that goes around on with black tax, family pressure. Sometimes when people's parents are calling them to say, oh, you've not sent money to one auntie or the other auntie, or Christmas time comes around, oh, there are 3 people in the family that have problems that you have to send money to. All this time you're experiencing anger, you're experiencing shame, you're experiencing guilt, you're also experiencing happiness. So let's not ignore that. I don't want to say it's only negative emotions you experience, because sometimes, being in a position to help others, knowing that if you were not there, some people might have actually died, honestly, sometimes makes you feel good that you had or you have that opportunity. So happiness is one of the emotions. But this, confluence of emotions is a very stressful thing to experience as a person. So it does take a toll on your mental health. Finally, to wrap this all up in a neat bow is financial independence. It's sending a chunk of your income back home means that your financial independence, is affected. It takes you longer to settle because some people come in and right off the bat, they're having to send money home. There are people that this is aside even just having debt that you have to pay off, because if you borrowed money to immigrate, you're most likely trying to pay that off. But aside that, you're already sending money home for people to eat. It means that there's a longer time before you are able to settle down and enjoy yourself and, even take a vacation and take a breather, despite working hard for your money. Lots of times people spend a long time in Canada with barely anything to show for it. I'm not saying that you should kill yourself or you're on a rat race. You have to have 3 buildings before this year or that year. My point is, people honestly underestimate how much black tax is taken away from their income. Especially, I spoke about my friend who says all the time that, oh, you can't send someone 50K. You have to start from 100K because that's the only way it's reasonable. That's an adult. But at the end of the day, that's free money you are sending to somebody. They didn't work for that money. It's your hard-earned money that you are sending. And not that $100 is a big deal. I mean, there are people here in Canada as immigrants. Their businesses are thriving. They are earning over $15,000 a month. There are people that are doing very well. So $100 is not a big deal. And some people are just salary workers. And the funny thing is, even when you start earning high, you tend to send even more money. So someone that is earning, let's say, $6,000 a month, and they are sending $200 home, or they're sending $300 home or $500 home. Someone that's earning, $15,000 is probably sending $2,000 home, $3,000 home. So at the end of the day, it's still taking a huge chunk of your income because you're trying to be kind. And it's not something to be ignored. It does add up long term. My viewpoint is you should be sending money home to be used for useful things. As I said, one of the stories that really inspired this topic was my friend whose brother has just wasted a lot of money going to the university, but they were actually not going to the university and have affected her plans long term. The point is, money should be used as much as possible for useful things. Some people, they are calling you for money for birthday. There are some people that are not serious with their lives. You've opened 3, 4, 5 shops for them and they've wasted it. There are some people that, honestly, the list goes on and on and on and on. Some people are just eating your money unnecessarily. Your money is not being used for anything. Me personally, I would say that there should be a plan. There's difference between sharing money for people just because you're being kind. It's Christmas, it's a nice time. But money adds up eventually. You should not just be sending money without a plan. There should be a plan. The money should be doing useful things in people's lives. It should add value. I feel like just sending money home for people to eat if they are not retired, your retired parents, is honestly weird. I think there should be ideas on, okay, what can you do to set up this person so that they can afford to feed themselves, so that you don't have to be the one feeding them. And one thing I think people should realize is that if you die, people will find another way. That's the truth. Aside maybe chronic illnesses, like that you're paying hospital bills for, that there's a huge chance that, okay, if you are not there, the chronic illness might probably just kill them. But if you see about that one that's about food, eating every day, if you die while doing 1 million shifts, people are going to, they are going to find another way. Before you came abroad, they were eating. If you die, they will still eat. So you have to have that in mind. My thing is, your money should be doing something valuable. If there are people that are not, they do not live with a disability, and it's just about food or flimsy things like birthday parties, or what other things are people doing with money? Buying dresses. I'm not saying you shouldn't be kind or you shouldn't do stuff for people, especially if you are earning it. Like someone earning $20,000 a month, $50,000 a month. Come on, you can afford to be nice to people. My point is, well, even that sometimes some people are earning a lot of money, but their cost of living is, if you are earning $15,000, your cost of living is $13,000. So at the end of the month, your spare income is $2,000 because you have one expensive house in Ontario. Let me not what's the word? So it's sometimes some people's cost of living, at the end of the day, they'll actually have a lot of disposable income. But my point is, if you are being nice, yes, it's good to be nice, but be aware. Take note of your finances. A lot of people are not planning for their retirement in Canada. In Canada, we are living in a country where children are not raised to take care of their parents. It's the truth. If you are in Canada with your children, the truth is that your children are Canadians, they are not Nigerians. You will try to imbibe Nigerian values into them and be like, yeah, please, you have to take care of your parents. It's nice, but the truth is, it's not what is obtainable. Go on TikTok. Go and see people talking about what my African parents did. My African parents, yesterday I saw a video where someone said my African parents are not capable of love. They literally said it. They are not capable of love. So imagine you raise someone in what you think is a loving situation. You provide for them. As I said, what you think, but they don't even perceive it as that because they are not Nigerians. This thing is not normal for them. They are going out, they are seeing their peers. Their peers are not thinking about taking care of their aged family. Even the ones that are actively thinking about it are seen as these golden children who are very nice, And the truth is, you don't even blame them. The society is not designed for that. People have to work. People have to pay bills. Even if you've paid off your mortgage, you still have property tax. You still have what are the other bills that come every month? Your not regular bills. And there's not a lot of, there's grace period when you miss some of these bills, but eventually, the bank can foreclose if you're still paying mortgage and you're owing. So my point is, there are so many things that take away from people's time in society that it's not really very convenient to take care of your aged parents. So there are people that are functioning as if they are going to move back to Nigeria. And I'm not saying it's wrong to move back to Nigeria, but you're moving back to Nigeria, who is going to take care of you in Nigeria? Say, I don't know what the world is going to look like in the next 30 years. We're not certain of anything. But if it looks like anything like now, then you go back to Nigeria, who's going to take care of you? All your kids, you raise them in Canada. Majority of them are living in Canada. Are you going to go and live in the village in Nigeria? Okay, you want to go and live in Abuja. Inflation is going on in Nigeria. So even if you want to go and live in Nigeria, you still need a lot of millions to sustain you in that Abuja you are thinking, or that Lagos you are thinking. And you want to get a small girl from the village to come and stay with you. My point is, if you intend on retiring and you're not planning to do anything crazy, you need a lot of money. And all that money that you are sending home is money that can go into planning your retirement. These, aside all the other things I've listed, like mortgage, like investing. So make sure that your money is being used well. You are not just sending money for flimsy situations. Have that in mind. Remember that at the end of the day, if anything happens to you, people are going to survive. They're going to find another person to beg. Be your immediate family, your extended family, people are going to find other people because they're not going to die with you. So have that in mind when sending money home. If you even think about some of the amounts that are deducted from your salary for pension or to put into your RSP, you find out that honestly, sometimes it's 50, sometimes it's $100. I don't know how much they're deducting, and those are small amounts, but the idea is that over the years they are going to pile up in your account. Sometimes they're deducting $200 from people monthly, but that's the money that you are looking at as small money that you are sending home, and someone is blowing away buying graduation gown when they know that they are not graduating. I don't know if that makes any sense. My point is trying to say, don't trivialize your efforts. Don't trivialize this money that you are working hard for. You calculate it sometimes. That money that someone wasted is 2 hours of your work in a day. You woke up that day and say, you know what, I'm dedicating 2 hours to work to give Osapolo $200, and they're throwing it away. Try as much as possible to work within your capacity. Realize that the money you are making is useful money, no matter how little, and it can do so many other things for you, but you are doing the right thing and sending it home. Well, not necessarily the right thing, you're doing the kind thing and sending it home for people to do other things with, so it should be valuable. And then there are some people that, as I mentioned earlier, they were sponsored here by their families so that they can come and also help them. I think the smart thing to do is to make a plan so that you can find someone else that can also come and assist you. It's not that you will just keep sponsoring blindly, endlessly, like, oh, I'm just sponsoring. You are just sending money home. Nobody's making plans to also come here so that they can come and help you. I think that's what you should be working on. Honestly, that's that, because amongst all the people that gathered money, there should be someone you can sponsor to come here and share the burden with you. The only problem with that plan is that sometimes some people come and they're even more useless than they were in Nigeria, or some people will waste your sponsoring money. But my point is, you have to come up with a plan on how to help people become independent, so that this is not an indefinite expense that is just leaving your account. Please leave a comment in the comment section, what your experience with black tax has been, if you've come up with any solutions, what your long-term plans surrounding black tax has been. I personally, I don't consider money sent to parents as black tax, especially parents that are like retired. With the Nigerian pension system, it's not something you can trust. I think for aged parents it's reasonable. You're sending them money for upkeep is reasonable. For me, my issues is with able-bodied young people that you are sending money and to eat. Find solution. That's my own. But please leave a comment, tell me what your experience is with black tax and what you think people should be doing about it. Have you had any negative experience? How your emotions have been? Just let me know in the comment section. Please like, share, subscribe, just engage in whatever form, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye guys.